Hello, people again. So this will be on my Jewish Christian life thing. Anyway, I'm sure this video will be. I've got to get a haircut. I actually don't like it this long. I only have it this. It really hasn't been a winter long enough to really have it this long. Don't like it. Anyway, this video is about finding a good, decent teacher, and that sounds good. Anyway, if you're going to learn about the Bible and learn the Jewishness of Christianity, because you can't have one without the other. That's going to drive me nuts. But anyway, you can't have Jewishness, the Old Testament, without. You can't have the New Testament without the Old Testament. You cannot have an understanding of Christian doctrines without the Jewish doctrines, without the Jewish Old Testament. The whole Bible is Jewish. It was written by Jews, except for 2 books. Okay? Yes, 2 books. I consider Luke and Acts written by the same author, and John Mark, who was half Jewish. So, who am I thinking of? Oh, that'll come to me. It'll come to me. But anyway, Zola Levitt, I discovered when I was living in Orlando, Florida. He was on. Anyway, he was a TV preacher. I mean, he wasn't really a teacher though. A preacher though. He was a teacher. He would dress in the traditional Jewish stuff, the robe and all the good stuff. He made it fun to watch his show. His show was on for 30-odd minutes. He taught from the Bible. He visited constantly Israel and did all kinds of broadcasts from there, all kinds of teaching from there. I mean, this book is probably my favorite of his books. I mean, I was trying to get a good picture of it so it didn't blurry anything. I mean, it literally is book by book talking about the Jewishness of the Bible and the book Jesus read as a kid, as a child, as a young adult, as a rabbi preaching the gospel, preaching the message of the gospel, and everything else he did. From Genesis to Revelation is a Jewish book. That's the point of this book. This is an excellent book if you want to understand what he taught for as long as he taught on the TV. I loved his videos. I loved his. He also was a musician. He made some very wonderful songs. I probably couldn't play them on YouTube because they're probably copyrighted, because the thing keeps telling me I'm disconnected. So I'm waiting for it to catch up. But as a teacher, he made the scriptures clear and plain, and he just got into the nitty-gritty of things. He explained everything very well. He made it interesting. He made it so you want to learn more than what he was just teaching. And that, to me, is a good teacher. A good teacher does not tell you everything. He does not answer all your questions. He does not tell you everything. He expects you to do some of the work, too. When I try to help people, teach people, blah, 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 I expect them to do some of the work on their own. I have no patience for intellectual laziness. I have no patience for people who want to ask me questions and don't want to do any of the work to find the answers. If you can't find the answer, that's fine. I will answer your question. And I think in a lot of ways that comes from watching Zola Levitt, his teaching style. His teaching style was very simple, very basic. He would be either at his studio or he'd be in Israel, and he would just be simply talking. There was no grandioseness about the man. There was nothing preachy about the man. To me, he really, really, really opened my eyes to what it is to be a Jewish Christian. He really did lay bare the core teachings of this idea. I mean, you need a good teacher. I was lucky. I found a very good teacher in him. I mean, I love this show, as I keep saying. And it is still on. You can't order his books, and you can still order stuff. You can order old episodes. And it's on YouTube, and his shows are on YouTube. But what Zoe Limit Ministries has become now is I'm not sure I agree with. However, sometimes, I just don't think it's the same show anymore. I mean, I really don't want to say anything. I'm not saying that they're doctrinally wrong. I'm just not sure. It's not the same show anymore. It's like losing a teacher. When he died, I lost a teacher. I lost a very good, here is the evidence, here is the facts, here is the information, here is the history, here is the scriptures. Figure it out. Go fight. Go study. He was as far as I'm concerned, he was very big on saying, look, this is what Jesus taught. This is where he taught. Search the scriptures. Don't just rely on me. So one thing I tell people when they ask me questions, I try to answer them and say, look, go look yourself. Don't trust me. Don't listen to everything I'm saying. Don't, just because I said it and I've read more than you have, doesn't mean I know everything. Go look. Go seek. That's what he taught me. That's what a teacher is supposed to do. A good teacher is supposed to get the student to not need the teacher anymore, or at least not need the teacher as much. That sun for the thing is going to drive me nuts. But sun's going slowly down anyway. But I mean, he did write some little very short, very good books on biblical subjects. And I always loved his little pamphlet books. Seventh Piece of Israel, of course, about the Seventh Piece of Israel and how they relate to the church and to the Jewish nation. Prophetic Events. This is a very good book. I like this. Is one of my favorite books of his. A Christian Love Story, which teaches the doctrine of that we are the bride of Christ, and all that entails about the 10 virgins, 5 were wise and 5 were foolish. Talks about that he's going to come back, the bridal chamber, and I mean it is fascinating. I mean his studies. I mean it's not a very big book. I mean it's very thin. It's very thin. It takes maybe 10 minutes, maybe 20. But it's about. It is. I liked his writing style. I liked how he taught. I liked that he taught very basically and very plainly, but he taught in a way that was clear and understandable and made me want to learn more outside of himself. That's a good teacher. A good teacher is not someone who just thinks that you should just listen to them and listen to them only. If you have a teacher who only wants you to hear them and them alone, run away. Because they don't want you to think. They just want you to listen to them. I want you to think. And I want you to do your own research. I want you to do your own thinking. I want you to do, well, what the Apostle Paul said. Search, do some apologetics. Search the scriptures. Study to be approved unto God. Well, that's my video. I can stop if I want to. Besides, this is what this portion of my YouTube channel is about, right? Okay, why am I... A minute. 2 Timothy 2:15. Study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman that needs not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Also, 2 Timothy again, 3:16, 17. All scripture is given by inspiration of God, and is profitable for doctrine, for reproof, for correction, for instruction in righteousness, that the man of God may be perfect, thoroughly furnished unto all good works. He taught that way. He taught to search the scriptures, think, analyze, do research, do apologetics, do studying. If you can't defend, explain, or even give a basic understanding of what you claim you believe, you don't really believe it then. Well, there's something very wrong. Other books, he wrote this one. Should be self-explanatory. This is the story of Peter, the Apostle Peter and Cornelius, the centurion. It's pretty good. I believe this one is about in between the rapture and the second coming. It's pretty good. These are not very big. I mean, they are not. I mean, they are very short. You can read some of these in 10 minutes. This, of course, is about the 7 churches that are discussed in Revelations. Another excellent one. Yeah, all his small. He also liked to write with Dr. Thomas McCall. He and Zoe Levitt would write a lot of these books. They'd be co-authors. Well, I'm going to show you in a few minutes after these all there. This is after the Second Coming, I believe. This is either after the Second Coming. I have to look. It's been a long time since I've read some of these. Or I just haven't read them. I read so many things, and I really do not remember sometimes some of the things I read, which is foolish on my part. But I believe this is after the 1,000-year reign. I believe it's either that or it's after the Second Coming. No, that's the Second Coming. There's the Second Coming. Talking about the Second Coming after the 7-year tribulation period. He also wrote some on the coming Russian invasion of Israel. I had that one over there. I didn't bring it over here. I didn't think about bringing all of them over here. Talk about Pentecost, which is the birth of the church, and Peter's sermon that he preached at Pentecost. It's the fourth seventh of the seventh feast of Israel. Miracle of Passover. There's another one he did on Passover too, if I remember correctly. But I like his books. I like how simple they're written. How not simplistic, simple. It's explained very simply, very basically, and very well. Sometimes I would just sit there and listen. I just realize what he's doing and how I appreciate his teaching and how I appreciated how he would present it. I liked his trips to Israel. I loved his videos of Israel. I mean, I don't know. My throat is dry for some reason. Now, just a minute. I'm going to bring something over anyway. Maybe I should have done it in the first place. Probably. I'll just bring all the other books. I don't really care. The Coming Russian Invasion of Israel he talked about with Thomas McCall. Another very good book. This is probably another one of my favorites. It's a basic introduction of who Jesus was, and he was Jewish. How it goes through all the fact that Jesus was a Jew and nothing more and nothing less, and that is who he was. He was the Messiah. He was the God-man. Excellent book. Not very big. Most of his books are not very long, not very big, but they're so full of information, so full of just good teaching. And I'm serious. I never liked any other biblical teachers on the TV. He is the only one I ever liked who was on TV. There's The Rapture, another pretty good book. Satan in the Sanctuary, which will take place during the tribulation period. Meshumad, which is about Jews who came to Christ during, well, what's obvious there, about that at that time, and their lives afterwards. This is a pretty good book. This is a good book on Jews who became Christians during the Holocaust, after the Holocaust. Now, he wrote one novel that I'm aware of, anyway, and I've always liked this novel. It is a love story, and believe me, for me to say that takes a lot, is this one. And my throat is dry. This book is very, it's a novel where the plot line pretty much is the marriage supper is basically it's a novel version of the Christian love story that I already showed you. It's about the bride of Christ and about the Jewish wedding customs and the Jewish. It is very Jewish. He wrote this, I believe, in the 70s. So I should tell you how long ago it was. 78. It's good. It's a short little novel. I mean, it's not, it's not love story, but it is a good story. It has good characters. You get a sense that it's Israel, and it's where it takes place, of course. But it's good. Look. I don't read love stories, but this one I would recommend. This one I liked. Well, it's all the books I have of him. He has a lot more. Man, I think it's my tea. I think my tea is trying to kill me. But as I said, I would start with this one. I would start with this one because I like this one. I like this one. It's probably It's only going to be on my top 3 list of his books. Not his little Bible study things, but of his books. It would be this one, The Israeli Love Story, and Jesus the Jewish Jew. But in other order, I would read the Jesus the Jewish Jew after this one. He taught like a rabbi. Zola wasn't a rabbi, but he taught like one. He I can't explain it. He was very, very unpretentious. He was very just down to earth, preaching, teaching, and showing places where Jesus walked and where the apostles went and where the apostle Paul went and all kinds of stuff. I would recommend learning from him because you will learn a lot. But make sure it's his books. I'm just sorry. I don't know if I really. I don't want to say anymore. Only because I don't know. I just get this feeling, and I trust my gut instincts, that it's not the same ministry. But the Zola Levitt part of it is the same ministry. The books are the same. The pamphlets, the music, the videos, the ones that he's teaching are worth watching and worth reading. He was a good teacher. You need a good teacher to be a good apologist. As I've said before, apologetics is Greek for defending something. It's explaining. It's not apologizing for something. It's defending. It's explaining. It's telling you why you believe in something. But you need to find a good teacher to do that. And Zola Levitt was a very good teacher to me. I learned a lot from his shows, particularly the Jewish Christian aspect of things, particularly the Jewish aspects of things. And his teaching really impacted my life. I liked him. He was fun to watch. He was the only one I would. But anyway. Well, I hope some people enjoyed this. Please comment, like, share, subscribe. Behave yourselves, people, because I'm not going to. What a way to end the video with that phrase. That's true. Can't help that. It's true. Well, pray for the peace of Jerusalem. That says Zola Levitt would say at the end of every broadcast. Pray for the peace of Jerusalem.